Showing you how to make a Texas rig for catching bass. It's one of the more popular rigs for fishing weedless if you don't want to snag any weeds, rocks, things like that. This is a really good rig to use, and it's also just a really high percentage rig in catching bass. What we're going to be using are these wide gap hooks, Eagle Claw. They're right there. That's the size of them there. These are the perfect ones to use just because they have this wide gap right here and they have this lip where it comes up on the hook, and I'm going to show you how we're going to utilize that here in a second. The first thing you want to do, well, let me show you. We got the hook. We have right here is a 6-inch just plastic, fake plastic worm. This one's a little red with some green flake in it. I like to use this one when they're not really striking. I get a kind of a brighter color in there and use this. And then one of these bullet weights. I like to use the bullet weights. They work really well. I got a 1/2 ounce here. You can use 1/16, 3/16, depending on how heavy you like to fish your weights. I like to use one a little heavier so I can get a further cast out when I'm trying to do that. But what you're going to want to do is take the sharper part of your bullet weight and put that end through your line. Is going to want to go through that front part. And the reason why you do that is because when you're reeling this back in, and if you are going through some weeds or some brush, you'll want this bullet part, this smaller part, to be coming back towards you. It helps it get out of spots a lot easier, and this will. So from that point, we just set the weight there with the line going through it, and then we grab our hook here, and we're gonna do a simple knot on this one that most anglers use for most hook setups. You know, this is real easy. It's a real good knot, and it never really fails too often. But you just go through the bottom there, and that's what you got. Just as if you were going to tie a regular knot, but instead what you want to do is you're going to go around it one time. I like to keep the line coming from the fishing pole in this hand, and then I keep the smaller line pinched with these 2 fingers, and I'll always keep my finger here by the hook, and you just basically spin the smaller line with the end on it around the line attached to the fishing pole. 4 times is enough. I like to go about 5 just to make sure it's got a really good hold on there. And then same thing as if you were tying a regular knot, you go right back through the bottom of that knot. And then you got one more loop here, and to give this extra security, we're going to grab the end of it and bring it back around and take it through that extra loop there. And what that does, and you just kind of tighten that like that, just a little. That gives it that extra you need. All you're going to do from this point is kind of push this down a little, give that top one a tug, and your line, it pulls right into a knot, nice and tight there, and that's definitely not coming loose. I do like to cut the end of this. I leave about a 1/2 inch on, just in case you do get a real big fish or you get a snag and you try to pull it. It doesn't completely come undone there, so I'll leave a little left. So now what we have, our hook and our weight on there, and you see our weight's just sitting right on the tip end of that hook. Next we got to put that worm on. So what we're going to do is we take the worm and we take the hook, and we're going to go right through the top of that worm. And you just come right out the bottom of the worm, right at the tip of it. You really don't need to take much. Now that you got that, you slide the end of this all the way up to the front of that hook. That's what that little barb's going to be there for, and it allows it to line up perfectly with the tip of this hook. Line it up like this to where it's going to go in at, and just kind of pull that worm up just a little and go in through the bottom right there. Let that worm go down and let that hook come out. And you could fish it like this. If you're not in a weeded area or a rocky area, you could just fish it like this, and you wouldn't get hung up. You get a lot of catches. You can higher your catch percentage. But the reason why this is a Texas rig, in real weedy spots and rocky spots, you can just fold this end right here up onto that hook, and that makes it weedless. So you can swim this through anything, weeds, rock, and you're not going to get snagged on anything. The second you get a bite on that, boom, the fish is going to knock it loose. That hook's going to become exposed, and you'll get a bite that way. This is a really good rig to fish through weeds anywhere. I'm out here in Las Vegas. I don't have a lot of lakes out here to fish. I fish Lake Mead, where the water level's constantly changing. Certain rocks and weeds end up in spots where you wouldn't think they'd be, and this works really well, so my line doesn't break and I don't get snagged up, and I still get a lot of bites on it. So try it out. Let me know how it works for you, and definitely comment, like the video, and definitely subscribe to my channel. This is my first video, and there's going to be more, so please.